Following the Game Awards for 2019, many fans of the Zelda series and just Nintendo fans in general were left disappointed, as there was little to no Nintendo at the highly anticipated awards show. Well, other than Fizamac, aka Reggie Fils-Aimé, the ex-president of Nintendo of America, making a very stylish appearance with a lovely heartfelt speech. Wholesomeness aside, many of us Zelda fans were hoping for some long-awaited Breath of the Wild sequel news, as since the initial reveal around 6 months ago now, there has been no news whatsoever covering the developing sequel. Whilst this left many fans disappointed, I personally see it as Nintendo are just not ready to show us anything, and are still working on the game. It's their game and they should be able to take as long as they feel is necessary to make their game. Without getting too carried away and sidetracked, don't be mad because of the lack of news. You don't want a rushed game, do you? With that out of the way, the idea of possibly getting another trailer or just some information in general about the game had me brainstorming potential ideas for if we did get any coverage. Although we didn't, one of the ideas I thought about is still very much open to question without a new trailer. That question is, where will the sequel begin? Normally this wouldn't be an asked question for a new Zelda game, as with every previous installment to the series there has been a completely new world and story, but with this upcoming game, it's a direct sequel to the events of Breath of the Wild. It may seem like a mundane question at first, but the more you think about it, the more you will realise it's actually a really interesting question. It's likely the sequel is going to take off from the events of Breath of the Wild, but the question is, when exactly after Breath of the Wild? For all we know, it could be literally where the first game ends, on the hills just outside Kakariko Village looking out onto Hyrule Castle. Anywhere could make sense, to be honest. So, without further ado, let's kick off the final video of the year by diving into some speculative theorizing on where the Breath of the Wild sequel will begin. So, the beginning of the game. Where will we kick off our heroic quest this time? We will go through each of the potential starting locations one by one, followed by then analysing them and coming to some sort of conclusion on which one is more likely. Firstly, let's look at where Breath of the Wild left off. The game ends on a cliffhanger, almost as if they had this sequel planned all along. Princess Zelda and Link gaze out onto the now calamity-free Hyrule Castle, whilst discussing their next move. This is where our first hint comes from. Princess Zelda informs us that something is up with Divine Beast Furuta, then presumably begins to head towards the Sheikah Titan, going off the direction she walks off in. So our first potential starting point is the hills outside of Kakariko Village, and making our way to Divine Beast Furuta. We could begin the sequel by going to work on whatever is wrong with the Mechanical Titan, to then really getting into the main story afterwards. It's a bit of a basic start to me, but it's definitely possible. Next, the Hebra Mountain Range. This is where the speculation really kicks in. The Hebra Mountains and surrounding area is by far one of, if not the largest regions within Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, only challenged by the landmass of the Gerudo Desert and surrounding highlands. These snowfields and mountaintops are relatively untouched and unaffected by Calamity Ganon's attack, along with being very out of touch with the rest of the kingdom. The mountains specifically only having one resident, Selmy. The geographic nature of this region does offer some good places to hide things, like Ganondorf. There is even proof of this, as if you venture deep enough into the mountains, you can find a very supernatural and out of place like cave within the mountains, containing the skeletal remains of a leviathan. I guarantee you not many people in Hyrule know this is here. I don't think Selmy even knows. The reason I mentioned the Hebra mountain range for a beginning area is because there is a chance that we will start the game mid-adventure, and what is probably the entrance to where Ganondorf's corpse is, looks like it could be in the Hebra region due to the colour of the rocks and what might be snow. Then again, this location could be somewhere beyond the limits of Hyrule in Breath of the Wild. Next, within the caves beneath Hyrule. Now, this pick is a bit ambitious. It's a shot in the dark, but not impossible. As seen in the reveal trailer, Link and Princess Zelda are venturing some sort of cave system, which seems to go on forever. I mean, we see the standard sort of underground cave area, a large opening with a bridge suspended over what we can assume is a ravine, along with some old mining cart tracks, pools of water, pure luminous stone, and most importantly, the remains of Ganondorf. It's clear these caves will play an important role in the game, but we don't quite know when in the game. The instant thought would be that these play a role later in the game due to the presumable boss Ganondorf being found here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that. Look to games such as The Wind Waker. We meet Ganondorf on multiple occasions before the final battle with him in those games. And going off what the trailer presents, it seems that Ganondorf may be breaking free or being released from a seal of sorts, executed by the mysterious hand. Call it bold, but I think it's definitely possible for the game to start off with Link and Princess Zelda in these caves, which leads us to finding Ganondorf still sealed, but upon us getting too close, the seal breaks, and this is where the story really gets underway. Next, Divine Beast Furuta. As I briefly noted earlier, beginning the game exactly where we left off in Breath of the Wild would be a little bit boring to me personally, but there is always the option of kicking things off over by Divine Beast Furuta, and not on the hills outside of Kakariko Village. After sealing away Calamity Ganon at the end of Breath of the Wild, we are shown a cutscene of Princess Zelda and Link together on what is believed to be Sahasra Slope, right outside of Kakariko Village. At the end of this heartwarming little scene, Princess Zelda mentions that something is wrong with Divine Beast Furuta. God knows how she actually knows something is wrong, but something is wrong, I guess. This would imply that the pair begin making their way to the Divine Beast to investigate the issue, meaning we may start the sequel at Furuta, trying to figure out what is wrong. I did say this would be a boring start, but then again, most Zelda games tend to start in a village, town, or island, sometimes with extremely long opening segments, including my favourite game of all time. Starting the sequel off at Divine Beast Furuta would basically be your average Zelda opening. Nothing spectacular, but nothing wrong with it either. Last but certainly not least, Zonai Ruins. Now, before you become a bit of a keyboard warrior and start complaining about the Zonai in the comments, just listen. This is possible. Sort of. We know the Zonai are going to play some sort of role in the sequel, due to how much Zonai hints and secrets were in the reveal trailer. It's more just a question of how big a role they could play. Will they remain unseen or even be discovered to no longer exist? Could we meet an actual Zonai tribesperson? Or maybe even find some sort of spiritual connection to the Zonai? Who knows? The idea of starting off in some form of Zonai ruins is bold and pretty unlikely, but it would be one hell of a way to kick off a sequel. Breath of the Wild completely flipped the style of the Zelda series, so what's to say this sequel can't do the same thing and have us begin venturing some old ancient Zonai ruins, either ones found in Breath of the Wild or new and unseen Zonai ruins. This idea was actually inspired by the thumbnail art made by Courage of Hyrule. Links to their work will be in the description. At the end of the day, we just don't know, but it's always good fun to discuss and bring up some possible ideas, which is exactly the purpose of this video. I personally believe the game will kick off in the Hebra mountain range, or some sort of mountain range, possibly outside of the Hyrule we know and love. Thanks a ton for checking out the video. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know where you think the Breath of the Wild sequel will begin in the comments below. Shout out to Courage of Hyrule for allowing me to use their artwork in the thumbnail. They make some pretty cool Zelda related stuff, so be sure to go check them out through the link to their page in the description. With this being the final video of the year and decade for that matter, I want to say a huge thank you to every single one of you. This year has been life-changing for me, to be quite honest with you. I started the year making videos as I normally would, but at a fairly low standard if you ask me. But now, I am making what in my opinion is some of my best work. Of course, it's not the best I can do, but I am always looking to improve with every single video. I've even managed to start doing this as my job now, which is truly something else. Hopefully I can keep doing this as my job going into 2020, but due to the current circumstances on YouTube, that may not be possible. We will have to wait and see. Without turning this into some sort of speech, thank you all so much for one of the best years in my life, and I hope we can keep it up in 2020. Another huge thanks goes to all of my wonderful Patreon supporters, as you've played a crucial role in getting me to doing this as a full-time job. Thank you so much. Lastly, keep an eye out for an upcoming giveaway that should be announced in the first week of 2020, in celebration of us reaching 15,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for watching this year. I hope you all have a wonderful and happy new year, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.